So why don't you start there as opposed to saying, I wish I was a $10 million producer. When you're a $3 million producer, ask yourself what kind of skill sets you need to build. What you can do for your business. Don't ask for the end result. It's never going to happen that way. And you're going to grow more miserable, more resentful, more jealous. All right. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery. I feel like we're firing on all cylinders today. I feel like my mind is where it needs to be. I just had a lot of appreciation, a lot of just overall this place of just loving where I'm at and loving what I've put into myself, into my family, into my careers. And I want to be able to share hopefully some wisdom, some experiences with you that will help you propel in growing something bigger for yourself. But as you're coming on board, go ahead and check in. And again, I want to thank you for joining me on Mindset Mastery. It's just something that I've just learned to love to do. It used to be one of these things where it was a burden, right? Where I gave myself a goal, a target, and I was like, okay, every Monday I'm going to have this conversation, which means I have to be in this place of constant awareness of what's going on in my life so that I could hopefully give you some insights on how it can help you grow as a business owner. And that's all it was intended to do. But I've learned over the years, it does more for me than I think what it does for many that are listening. For me, it grounds me. It puts me in this place of appreciation. And I'm always constantly learning and becoming aware. And as I look for wisdom, it seems like I get more. As I work towards more abundance, it feels like I'm receiving more. And one of these things is to make sure that we're constantly looking at what it is that we want and simply taking the steps to get us there. But it's real easy to think that if you just pray hard enough, if you just hope and wish hard enough, that hopefully it'll land on your lap. And I think that's just a naive way to look at it. And trust me, it's something that I used to think that would work for me. I used to pray to have a better marriage so that I could get along with my wife. I used to pray for a better business. And I never really looked at what it required for me. I was essentially asking for a miracle. I was asking for a wish to be granted. Like if I was rubbing this lantern and hoping a genie would pop out to give me everything that I was looking for. And what I realized that everything that I was asking for was given to me. It was given to me as a challenge. It was given to me as a difficulty that I had to overcome, but yet I misinterpreted that on a consistent basis. I misinterpreted it as a way to hold me back, to say it's never going to be for me, to solidify everything that I thought I could be growing up, and to really limit my progression. I didn't think that that's what was required to overcome these obstacles, these problems, these challenges to get exactly what I wanted. You see, God was constantly blessing me with exactly what I needed to become this person. But I think we're disconnected from that place, thinking that if you pray hard enough for a better marriage, that you're just going to get it one day. That if you pray hard enough and deep enough for a better business, that it's just going to appear one day. And that's not the case. We have to ask better questions, right? And it reminds me of John F. Kennedy's quote that says, don't ask what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And that puts 100% responsibility back on your efforts, realizing that it's not going to come out of thin air. You just can't pray this from God and expect to be blessed with it. You're praying for a miracle each and every day. It requires you to ask better questions. And the prayers must consist of you understanding and discovering what it's going to require from you. And I know that's hard, right? Because growing up, I used to think that if I prayed hard enough, that everything that I wanted would come into fruition. And that's not the case. We have to understand that we have to pray for commitment and not miracles, for strength and not necessarily result, for awareness. And I think that's one of the main key components that has allowed me to break through the ceilings of my own life, my own dysfunctional life, my limiting beliefs, is constantly looking and seeking awareness. But in order to see that perspective, I had to understand that there's a simple process to follow. And that is to understand that it's all been written before me through the Bible, through books, through now videos and podcasts. Like, seeking new perspectives will allow you to become more aware. more aware of your dysfunctions, what is holding you back, more aware of these beliefs that are all lies. When in fact, we're all meant to be great, but we're asking for the end result, and then we're disappointed. We're disappointed we don't have it, like it's some type of entitlement, like someone promised us something that we never received, like someone owes you money, right? You're walking around with a chip on your shoulder, like someone owes you something. So you ask for pity, you ask for condolences, you ask for, sympathy and empathy from your spouse, from those around you. You're asking them to feel sorry for you, when in fact your focus is on the wrong place. And I had to learn that. I couldn't just ask for a happy marriage. I had to work my ass off for it. I couldn't just ask for a prosperous business. I had to make myself aware of what skill sets I needed to build, what dysfunctions I needed to burn down. Like I needed to ask myself better questions, not just simply wish for the end result. Asking for miracles, that's a tall order. What makes you deserve these miracles? What makes you better than anyone else? That's selfish. That's living in this land of like pure make-believe. When in fact, you were given everything, every awareness, every thought to put you in that position, but you avoid listening to the voice. You avoid the signs, and the signs are all around you. You avoid making that video when that idea comes to your mind. You avoid making that phone call when that name comes up to your mind. You're avoiding the work, but yet you want a miracle. What makes you better than everyone else? And this is something that I had to really comprehend, that I can't get what I want without asking myself, what is it going to require from me? God didn't let you down. You let you down. He's waiting on you to make your move. And here you are, with your hand out like some type of panhandler. What's wrong with you? And that's the way we got to look at things. We're not entitled to anything in this world. We have to work towards it. We have to become that person. We have to put more deposits than we can withdrawals. What makes you think somebody owes you something? It doesn't matter what you've been through. Life doesn't owe you anything. It doesn't matter what hardship you've gone through. The world owes you nothing. You owe yourself to take strength from those challenging times. You owe it to yourself to dive back into that and say, why did this occur to me? Why did I have to face this challenge? Those are better questions. And it reminded me of this quote that I read, and I started doing a little bit more reading on this philosopher, Hazrat Inayat Khan, and he was a philosopher and a poet in the early 1900s. And I have one quote that's been used a lot, like on social media, but I also want to start with this other quote that I ran into that really just, I think it really just captures the essence of what our responsibilities are and how we have to interpret certain situations. And when we go ahead and subside this entitlement aspect of life, it becomes and it comes together like it makes more sense. It puts you in a position where you're now aware of how it works, of how like it requires your effort, not just, your handout expecting some type of outcome. It requires, your vision. It requires your efforts and actions and gratitude. It requires everything from you first and foremost before you're even in a position to ask for anything in return. And he talked about prayers, and then I'm gonna read this first, and then I'm gonna go into the second one that you may have heard of. But I think we just have to become more aware of it, because if you're in this place where you're struggling with your business, you put yourself there. All the signs have been given to you. All the clues have been provided to you. The game plan has been mapped out for you. But you refuse to take the initial steps because you question yourself, telling yourself you're not good enough. You're not a good communicator. You're not good in front of the camera. You say these things to you when the clues were given to you. Your next step was provided to you. It's screaming at you. You feel it in your heart and soul. but yet you avoid it. And then you go that evening and pray for a miracle. It makes no sense. You're unwilling to do what's required. And that's exactly what I had to lean into as I'm making all these videos in 2014, challenging every thought process of not doing it day in and day out. But there was something within me that said, just keep going. It doesn't make sense now. Your communication skills are not on point. This person speaks so eloquently. You don't. You always hesitate. You always stutter like, what? Why would you even put a video out there? You didn't go to the most expensive schools. You're not the most educated. I had to fight through all these thought processes of trying to keep me back. But I wanted a bigger thing. And I understood at that point that I needed to put my feet forward first. I needed to take the initial step. And I needed to keep taking them so I can become aware of the lessons and understanding what step to take next. Do I pivot here? Do I keep moving forward? Or maybe I take a step back or two because there was lessons I missed. But it was this constant knowing that I had to ask and pray for wisdom and awareness, not just the end result. I couldn't ask for money into my bank account, a prosperous business, people around me. I couldn't ask for that. That's the byproduct of the work. That's not a byproduct of a prayer. To get these things, you have to build yourself up to these things. And I can only imagine the pressure that we're putting on God, right? He gave us all the tools, all the abilities, all the foresight, and yet we're asking for everything on a silver platter. No wonder we grow resentful, because all we're doing is projecting our own inadequacies. And it's not even an inadequacy, it's that we're just failing to do what our mind is telling us to do, what our heart is yelling at us to do. Every day you hear these voices. Every day you feel it internally and you tell yourself, today I'm going to do this, this, and this, and yet you do nothing. How are you supposed to be in alignment with what you want? We have to start there first. Every time a name pops into your mind, just make that phone call. Every time an idea about a video pops into your mind, just make the video. Don't overcomplicate it. And you'll be surprised how quickly you start aligning yourself with your goals and how quickly you'll start getting the end result. But it's not just once in a while. It's every day, all day. Which means you have to show more appreciation and love for yourself of how far you've actually come. You have to sit in the space of just listening to yourself, not thinking somebody else has it all figured out for you, because I don't. I don't. I don't know what's best for you. I don't know how bad you want it. I don't know what tragedies or obstacles or challenges you had to overcome. I don't know how much grit you have. I don't know any of that. You know you. You got to learn to trust in you. All I can tell you is that I'm constantly pushing the envelope. And I'm more excited now than I've ever been. I got some big plans, guys, and I got to tell you, I appreciate every one of you for putting me in this position of leadership, of coming into the doors of A's and Associates, because you too want the same things for yourself, for your family, for your health, for your mind, for your heart and your soul. You want these outcomes, and it makes me so proud to run with all of you. But I don't have it figured out for you. You have to listen to yourself, listen to that voice within. Whatever it is, it's going to put you closer to the bigger vision you have, to the prayers you're actually asking for. But first, ask what you can do to put yourself in that position, which means you have to build skill sets and mindset. You have to become wiser, more experienced. You got to learn how to be able to overcome challenges and problems. Because if you can't handle your $3 million a year challenges, right, of sales, and the challenges that come with that, what makes you think that you'll be able to handle the challenges of a $10 million business or a $20 million business? It'll crush you. So why don't you start there, as opposed to saying, I wish I was a $10 million producer. When you're a $3 million producer, ask yourself what kind of skill sets you need to build, what you can do for your business. Don't ask for the end result. It's never going to happen that way. And you're going to grow more miserable, more resentful, more jealous? What skill sets do you have to develop? Who do you have to communicate with today? These are all better questions. And it's going to put you in alignment of building yourself slowly but surely into that $10 million producer, into that $20 and $30 million producer. But it's not just going to land on your lap. Because right now you can't handle the responsibility that comes along with that. If you're stressed out of your mind with a $5 million business, you have no chance at a $10 million business. You're already stressed out, mistreating your family, mistreating your kids. With what you have now, are you kidding me? You're never going to get that. And if you do, it'll come with severe consequences. Love on yourself, love on your family. Ask for more awareness, ask for more challenges. And the $10 million business, that $20 million business, that $50 million business will be just a few steps away. But don't beat yourself up thinking that you're entitled to it. You have to develop the skill sets, the mindset, the responsibility to be able to handle it. The type of responsibility I have today would have crushed me 2 years ago. I couldn't handle it. I'm telling you that right now. It would have probably strained my marriage. The patience that I show my kids on a consistent basis. Like, I am present because I build my capacity day by day. I didn't ask to be shortcutted for a shortcut. I didn't ask for a hack. I just asked for the experiences that will put me in this situation. And now I'm more clear than ever because I've reached out to the right people. I have the right people around me. My vision is clearer than it's ever been. And amazing things are coming. And I hope to serve as an inspiration to you, just like many of you have served as an inspiration to me. By you getting out of your comfort zone. By you putting that responsibility squarely on your shoulders and no one else. Where you stop blaming your spouse, you stop blaming the market, your clients, and you said, how can I become better out of this? How can I explain better? How can I communicate better? How can I have more sympathy and empathy and patience? It's a different game because it requires extreme skill sets and awareness at that moment. Not after you made the decision and probably burned a few bridges. You become this matrix-like individual, like Neo, where you're able to see things way before it happens. That's called presence and awareness. And he says, prayers from the depth and prayer from the surface are two different prayers. One can utter what Christ has called a vain repetitions, just like repeating the prayer. One does not fix one's mind on the meaning of the prayer. If the depth of one's heart has heard the prayer, God has heard it. And what that means to me is that oftentimes we just go through the motions. Oftentimes the way we calculate the way we should get results is miscalculated and misinterpreted. Sometimes we give ourselves way too much credit for things we haven't done. We say things like, I've tried losing weight for years. I've tried everything. No, you haven't. Because if you did, you would have the body and the health you desired. And we got to stop living in this place of like deceit and lies. We got to be honest with ourselves. I've tried everything for my business. No, you haven't. Because then you would see the results. And actions and prayers and vision come together when it's deep, when you feel it in your heart and soul. And I've heard many people just spewing things out like they've done everything, but there's no depth to it. It's all lies. And that's the same way we have to go about our prayers and our thoughts and our vision. We have to feel it from within. Otherwise, it's just going through the motions. It's just being repeated. It means nothing. So, as you start thinking about what you want in life, as you start thinking about what it feels like to have a certain amount of money in the bank, a certain type of business, a certain type of marriage, I want you to ask yourself, what is it going to require from you? Because I'm going to be completely honest with you. If you don't have it, then you don't have what it takes to actually get there right now. You're not that person right now. You're not a 10 or a 20 or $50 million business right now. Because, well, you haven't built the skill sets yet. The capacity. You're not good enough yet. You're not good enough yet. But we're with the right thought processes, the right actions, and the speed from thought to action, as that gets better and more in alignment, you'll slowly and surely build yourself up to that. But don't pray for that miracle. Don't kid yourself. Okay? There is no genie in a bottle. It's just hard work. And I'm going to leave you with this. It's another one that you've probably heard of. It says, I asked for strength, and God gave me difficulties to make me strong. I asked for wisdom, and God gave me problems to learn to solve. I asked for prosperity, and God gave me a brain and brawn to work. I asked for courage, and God gave me dangers to overcome. I asked for love, and God gave me people to help. I asked for favors, and God gave me opportunities. I received nothing I wanted. I received everything I needed. Such a powerful way to state that. And I think we're just misinterpreting how the relationship works. You ask for all the things that we've already been blessed for, but you ask for more of it, more courage, more strength. And don't misinterpret what's coming your way when you ask for those things, because you will be facing more difficult situations. You will face bigger problems to solve, more dangers to overcome. So today, just ask for that courage. The courage to take action on what's already on your mind and on your heart and soul. Pray for the courage to just pull the trigger without considering somebody else's opinions. Start there. And if people try to impede on where you want to go, cut them off. Because the first ones to put their opinion on you will be the ones you love most, the ones you hold in high regard. And it's unfortunate. But ask yourself, if you're not happy, think about how much you've held back. And if you're not in a place where you absolutely love, then start making some changes and do the things that are right for you. Start with the prime 3. Take care of yourself first and foremost. Learn and listen to podcasts that will put you in the right position. Be aware of the dysfunctions and how much you actually hold yourself back when we've already been blessed with everything we need to get the end result. So stop praying for the end result. Instead, pray for the awareness so you know when to pivot, when to move, and to trust your own voice. I got to tell you, I was naive in that place, thinking that somebody was going to figure it all out for me. I remember as I went into my first franchise, they got to figure it out. They'll make me successful. That's not the case. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't have it figured out for you. I just know that if you take the steps towards improving yourself, you'll figure it out yourself. I'm not a savior. All right? I'm a leader. I'm leading myself. So it gives you courage to lead yourself. Guys, I want to thank you and everyone that joined today. I see you, Mary. Thank you for that. See you, Alicia. Patrick, love you, brother. Josh, thank you for joining. Richard, Betty, good morning to you. Edgar, good morning. Sylvia, Christine, Daniel, good morning. Danton, Caroline, we all have what it takes to get where we want to go. But don't put those responsibilities outside of you. Trust your voice, and whatever comes to mind, just go with it. I promise it'll get you one step closer to your ultimate goals. Guys, I want to thank you again for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye now. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Badass Agents Podcast, brought to you by AZ & Associates and Do the Work Coaching and Consulting. You can watch this and other episodes by subscribing to our channel on YouTube or by visiting us directly at badassagents.com. And of course, you can listen to this episode and many others on your preferred podcast provider.